Hello guys, welcome to the stream. This is Stefan. We're gonna do some pixel art as usual. I hope you guys are doing good, staying safe in all this COVID-19 madness. But this is a safe place. We're just having fun with some cult movies and pixel art and retro gaming and that sort of stuff. So please welcome, and I guess we'll start right away. So this today, last time we did those two guys, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, very well known horror franchise, and I guess this time we're staying in the horror genre, sort of, because it's much more of a comedy than a horror. And I think I'm gonna do Dr. Frank-N-Furter from the beloved movie, the horror Rocky Horror Picture Show. This film was a huge cult following. I really like it. I would say I more than like it. I really love it. Not to the point where I would go into midnight showings and costumes and doing all the crazy stuff that people do, but I still really enjoy that film very much. So yeah, it was released in 1975. It's pretty old now. Still holds up really well. Usually the case with the comedies, they tend to hold up better than some other genres. And the idea behind it was to do a film that would be an homage to all the B movies and exploitation flicks and grindhouse movies from the 70s, but as a comedy and as a musical. And it actually started out as a genuine musical in New York. I think it was in Broadway. I'm not, and it was done by three guys. Jim Shaman, Lou Adler, and Michael White, and those are the same people who they ran the musical for a certain number of years, and then decided to go and try and make a movie out of it. It was done in England by British people. That explains the humor, I guess. They're really it's like British people pretty much invented humor. They're really good at that. It's a very unapologetic and a little bit subversive movie. It's not it's not the kind of movie that you necessarily show to your kids. And it's about this guy, Dr. Frank-N-Furter, who's as he calls himself, a sweet transvestite from Transylvania. So he's kind of a vampire. So it's a mix of a Addams Family and Dracula, all bundled into some crazy musical, sort of punk rock musical. In fact, the costumes were very avant-garde for the time, to the point that some people say that the whole punk fashion, like ripped fishnet and colored hair and glitter, all that sort of stuff, was mainly came from the work that was done by the costume designer on this film. But the film was not very well received, actually really poorly received when it came out, as it's usually the case for a lot of movies that would later attain a cult status, because it was just too different and too crazy. And it was a small budget, pretty obscure, went on with a very limited release, and so really came out of existence almost immediately after the release in 75. But what saved it is one of the Fox, it was a Fox movie, one of the Fox executives he noticed that there was a trend in what we call midnight movies, which are viewings, sort of like viewings that are turned into more like a normal film viewing, but like as an experience, that fans um, go together, and they dressed up as the characters on the screen, and they address to the screen, they interact with the film and with each other, and it becomes this sort of like big, sort of like a fun experience that people share, usually on Friday nights or Saturday nights in some theaters, and most of the time at midnight, and that's what they call midnight movies. And one of the movies that really made that pretty much launched that idea was John Waters' Pink Flamingos, which is even more crazy and outrageous. Definitely not for everyone. If you know John Waters, he's a provocateur, and a true artist. Didn't care if his movie would shock people. In fact, it was probably the objective for most of the time. And he's a famous actress that did several projects with him was Divine. But anyway, so that Fox executives thought that Rocky Horror Picture Show would be the perfect vehicle for that. It would be the perfect film to try and launch into midnight movies. So they re-released it, and I think there was a theater. Let me look online. There was a. It all started in about a year later. They re-released it in a limited release in New York and several theaters across the country. And that New York theater really made the. This is where the whole phenomenon took off. It's called the Waverly Theater in New York. So in '76, that's where it really, I think, started to really to take off, and then with word of mouth, and the whole thing spread out through the U.S. and then eventually to the rest of the world, and that's how. And to this day, this Rocky Horror Picture Show is still the longest running film ever in history. More than 40 years later, it is still shown in theater around the world. Most of the time, they show it around Halloween, and like I said, on Friday nights or Saturday nights at midnight. And some people, they have seen this movie hundreds of times. When I'm saying hundreds, it's not a way of speaking. It's not a figure of speech. It's literally hundreds of times. They actually count it, and they go every week or so with their costumes. And I mean, it's really this film has generated really, really crazy, some of the craziest, most dedicated fans. And the main character, the vampire, is played by a British actor called Tim Curry, who's really extraordinary in it. It's hard to believe when you see the actual guy that this is him in it. And if he's very good in costume and makeup, because after that, Ridley Scott was so impressed by the work he did for Rocky Picture Show that he hired him to play Darkness in Legend in 1985, which is, if you remember this movie with this big demon guy, like red, that has like those giant black horns. Actually, I made it already. I drew this guy. This is a Legend from. This is Darkness from Legend. The character is called Darkness, and that's the same actor, Tim Curry, that was also Dr. Frank-N-Furter there. So yeah, I guess we'll go into this and hopefully have fun with it. Um, it's kind of a little bit of a tricky one in a way because since he's basically a guy cross dressing. We I mean, I could just make you know it will end up looking like a woman, at the pixel size, unfortunately. Unless I play a little bit with the thickness of the arms and I try to suggest a little bit of muscle, especially in the arms, and I guess that's what we'll try to do, because there's I mean, that's the whole point of the character, is that he's not straight up, a woman. So we'll see if we can. But the pose has to be, um, feminine and it's sort of a little bit provocative, because that's the whole point of the character. That's how he was. He was very good at dancing, very good at teasing in this movie. Um, uh, he really had a lot of fun. He's a singer. He sings too in it, so he's a full-on, a really accomplished artist. Um, a little bit like Hugh Jackman, strangely enough. You would wonder why, how Hugh Jackman wouldn't come into that conversation, but Hugh Jackman actually also is this kind of guy. He's done some musicals, and he's a very, very good dancer. He's a good singer. He's a good actor. He can pretty much do anything. Tim Curry is very similar. So we'll try. I guess we'll start off as making him as a sort of a woman, to focus on the feminine pose and the sort of like like the dancing pose, so to speak, and then we'll at that point we'll see if there's any way to suggest the fact that it's not actually that it's a guy, which we'll see if it works or not. So I took two reference pictures. I really like this pose. I think this pose, actually, this is the one picture that keeps coming back on the net when you're looking him up. So I think this is safe to assume that this is probably the one pose that people remember very well. There's also the pose where he's lying down a couch on the side, from a side view, and actually I'll show you. And they replaced the couch later on with lips in a montage for the poster. It's very Tim Curry. It's a very iconic image, and I'm sure you've seen it there. This is a very famous promo that they did for the film. They even had a different. So this is the original image. He's lying down in this couch or chair, not sure what it is, and then on this sort of a photoshopped him onto the lips. And there's a funny anecdote about the lips. They had a different poster with a tagline I was saying, because the film released right about at the same time as Jaws in 1975, and they had just the lips on the screen on a black background. I cut out on a black background, and it said it's a different set of Jaws, which was a reference to Jaws that was released at the same time. But the weird thing is that the actual lips belong to a former playmate who was called Lorelei Shark. I mean, her name was Shark, which is, anyway, it's a pure coincidence, but it's just a fun fact. But I guess I still think that it's probably better. I mean, this is kind of cool. But the problem with that is, I feel like the couch is going to take a lot of visual interest in, and even on the picture, actually, it's not even pixel out there, but even on the image, he's kind of like a little bit lost into there. It's not very, what you read is mainly this big white shape. So I think it's probably better to go for the for this. So there's a couple of very good choices. I mean, she is the obvious choice, I think, to start with. Both is not exactly the same because you see his shoulders are important. They're sort of like they're tilted, and also his I think his torso is a little bit more twisted on the side, and I would almost be tempted to do it even more, whereas she's more front facing. But still, it's very very good starting point. We could use her as well, which I think would be fine. Doesn't much matters that I think we're just gonna go because she already has the sort of like the sexy demeanor there. So there's already this that transpires out. So might as well start from her. And as usual, the character will end up looking very different anyway, so it's not such a big deal. We'll have to probably make her the legs, like I said, and the arms a little bit more muscular, a little bit more masculine, without overdoing it. So we'll see. So let's just go for it. As usual, we'll open in a different window. So it was pretty convenient to have a reference on the side, so we see what we do on the zoomed in. We can see it pretty well there at so okay, so I guess we'll start. So as usual, it's all it always starts quick and dirty, and it ends up and then at some point we start refining. You see, there's the tilt of the shoulders is kind of there a little bit, like this, but not that much. I think I'm gonna try to make it even more if I can. Really want that right shoulder to pop, you know, like you can see. This is what makes the pose interesting. Just like compared to this, this shoulder is really you know, really pops. This nice and curved, and this one is more like flat. I think that's what really makes the pose interesting and mostly dynamic. And we'll do the details like the pearl necklace later on. It's very very similar, so I have to make sure that it doesn't look like just a copycat, because then you know what's the point you know, making it different, making another character if it's if they look too similar. Sometimes it's good not to it's good to straight up move stuff around. The glitter will do that. It's funny because they even have that the sparkling outfit, like the glittering outfit with the sequins. So we'll use the same technique. Have a few dots that seem to really catch the light, just enable. Usually I won't go full black, but we'll go close for now, and we'll fix because if you go full black, it gets hard to shade if you go too dark. So it's worth going a little, sometimes just a little lighter. But all that stuff we'll play with it. We'll adjust it. But see right now, he's extremely I think I'm gonna go with more of a little darker skin, a little bit, and not as pink. It will look a little less feminine. Anything we can do to avoid for him to look straight up like this is a woman, then the better. Yeah, it's crazy because it is so similar. The pose, it pretty much the the exact same. But here we'll change the hips and everything, and the twist in the pelvis. So that's gonna help a little bit to differentiate them. It's going to be the foreshortening there. So here, I'm just going to take all the face and I was shifting the hue so it's more yellow to go with this. Too bright, but we can adjust that. So it's going to be enough of that. Even though we'll eventually we'll have to do the white makeup. This is really it's very iconic too for the character, so we'll have to make sure that we'll do that. But right now I'm just making normal face, and we'll take care of that eventually. And I think we'll have to suggest, if we can, the makeup, which is really heavy. But I don't want to get into dragged into working on the head right now. What's important is really getting the pose, again, like a full block out. We'll try to make sure there's not the hips are pretty narrow, because this is really what is gonna make him look more like a guy, more like a block. It also is will be a bit more blocky and less Let's move the head a little bit. Yes. Make sure that the hair doesn't mixes up too much with the outfit. Otherwise, it's hard to read too. I think he needs to have a larger, wider torso overall. So yeah, this is really where it all let's try and see. Yeah, this is where it really matters. You want to make sure we get the all the attitude, you know, right? Because that's really what makes it can make this work or not. So after, you know, I'll have to sort of like guess for the legs how they work there, but I assume probably close, actually very close to this, so it's not really a big deal. Just use color mode right there, so that doing this I can sort of force the leg hue to be the same as everything else. At least get most of it this way. In the end, if flesh tones are too yellow or too saturated or not enough or whatever, we can adjust that. But as long as for now, all I want to make sure is that I'm consistent. I think he's got the black shoes. Yep. So we'll do something very similar here. This. Oop. I hate when the I have this bug with the Photoshop where the window snaps to the top of the screen and sort of like expands. Very strange. Also, one thing that we can do to make sure that he looks more like a guy is to make his proportion ratio torso to leg different. So legs a little bit shorter than they would be for all his torso, longer, you know, or bit above. So he's got a little. So we'll go here. We're gonna go darker there, like full black, just simply because I want to make sure that there's a difference between the two things. This will have to go a little lighter for now, and this is really just to make sure that I can block out things, different element, different parts of the body and the clothes. and get an understanding of where things are. Because if you get a big black mass, then it's hard, But here I can make sure that I got the proper, where the crotch is, where the waistline, all of everything basically, more or less properly positioned. Takes a real commitment as an actor to get that costume on and really full on performer. And make sure the character is convincing. You really can't be shy with it. You have to go for it and be bold. I'm gonna save. First time I save. Sometimes when I'm doing that sort of stuff, I tend to forget about saving. So it's got this little sort of like a garter belt or something on top of the panties, I guess. We'll have to make this a different color for now, just to make sure we see it again, just to make sure it's a little bit more readable. And once it's there and I understand how things work, then I guess we can start moving things around. I mean, shading things in a more appropriate way. Still looks pretty feminine, but we'll take care of that eventually if we can. We'll do our best there when the time comes. He's a fun character to make, not gonna lie. Quite a change of pace after Jason. So here I want to make sure that leg looks really like it's way back there, behind. So I'm gonna make sure that this leg, the front leg, reads against it. So right now you see the leg in shadow looks maybe a little too close. Those two values, they too close. So so I can go a little lighter there, or I can go a bit darker here. I'm tempted to go just a bit darker, maybe a bit of both. We'll go a little darker there. Yeah, I think it's still read okay now. And anyway, we'll have to have the stockings anyway, so this will also change things. But for now, I'm gonna try and paint everything without the stockings, just because I want to make sure that everything's clean, and then when I'm comfortable with everything and everything sort of works, then I think we can start adding more of the clothing. Just gonna flip them real quick. So size will be an interesting thing too, because I can't afford to have him a bit tall and big, since he's a guy, and that might be another telling sign that that it's not just a woman, that he's a bit bigger. Not that you know, you couldn't have like a tall one like Jessica. Actually, Jessica, and that's why he's already fairly tall. It's because I consciously made Jessica very tall, because it seems like this is one of her main things in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit, she's very tall, very, you know, it's like she's got the perfect figure, like a top model. So that's why, and it was making him based on her. We sort of inherited of her size, so that explains why he's already pretty tall. You see, Ripley is smaller. Some of the other women, she's more a barbarian. She's pretty thick and big too, but some of those or like you see, Ratchet is a little smaller, and she's all straight up, so that makes her actually much smaller. So I think we can go. He is too small anyway, so there's a few characters that I will have to go back to anyway, because I think they're out of scale now. He's too small too. I like this size for the guys. I think they're pretty good overall. He's okay, I think. You know, all that stuff is fine. So it's a bit tricky because see, compared to Sarah Connor, I think yeah, more like a little shorter. But anyways, let's not you know, dwell into size forever. I'm just gonna make him. See, this is Brian. I can't even see look at him the way I should. I'm gonna make him a little bigger, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't necessarily make the legs longer, but more the torso, again, to make it more look like a man's proportion. It's gonna be very hard because in the end, I mean, he's dressed up as a woman, and he poses like in a very sort of feminine way. So and it's all pixel art, super small. So there's almost like no way that that unless you know who that is, you're going to realize that this is not a woman. But you know, I guess we have to live with that. It's fine. I don't mind it too much. I'm not. I think in that case we can go legs too. If you haven't seen this this film, I really recommend it. I think you'll have a good time. Obviously, you have to be a little bit open-minded going into it. It's you know, it's very outrageous, but it's really good fun. There's lots of innuendo and, you know, sexual references, and I mean, it is mostly about sex. Let's face it, you know. But it's not like overdone, or it's actually really funny. Like the jokes are good. The it's not just like, you know, putting as much as sex jokes in it as you can, and just roll with it. It is a really funny movie. It's really well written. Um, yeah, I definitely enjoyed it quite a bit. And also, if you like all the horror movies and exploitation and grindhouse flicks, then it's a film for you too. First of all, it was made in the 70s, and it really it's packed with references to some of those old horror movies, like B movies. In fact, it was a conscious decision, because they even took some of the props and used some of the sets that the main house, the main manor where it's shot. It was used in many of the Hammer movie productions. Um, and if you're not familiar with Hammer was a company in the 60s and mainly the 70s, I think. Um, British production company, and they did a lot of B horror movies. Um, and one of the actors that was very prominent in many of those movies was Peter Cushing. Uh, he was doing famously Van Helsing. Christopher Lee would play Dracula, and Peter Cushing would be Van Helsing, his enemy. Um, Films like The Hound of the Baskerville, in which Peter Cushing was playing Sherlock Holmes, very well known. Raquel Welch, I think it was a Hammer film. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Hammer film. 1,000 years BC, 1 million years BC. This was with Raquel Welch in her famous sort of like fur bikini, just lots of really silly grindhouse films, and some of the props also, like the manner where it was shot, and some of the props were used in the Rocky Horror Picture Show as an homage to all those films. So if you like, if you're familiar with those films, then you will see, you will also probably pick up a lot of fun, cool references and little winks and nods. There's an interesting, kind of a cool curve there. I really want to capture that shape. Need to make sure that that I get this. Kind of stuff that sometimes is a bit difficult to do, because especially close to the head like this can be really hard. Can look a little bit too hard, and jagged. So sometimes, in this case, I will sometimes do a little bit of anti-aliasing like this, if I need to. But I think we might be okay, actually. Well, maybe this. I don't know. I think I want to go quite dark on the arm. And also want the arms to be a bit bigger than for a woman, but also I have to be careful that not to make him look fat, because I mean he was pretty fit, actually. I mean he was a dancer, so It's not like that he looked bad, you know. He had a pretty fit shape. Seeing if I can play that lighting there that I find interesting, but I doubt this size that we can really do that. We'll see. Just a bit small, you know. Sometimes it's better to keep it simple at that size. But I still, if I can, I still would like to get a sense of form, you know, in the. So he's not. So I think it's not just completely flat. A bit of work there needs to be done. At the moment, I think I'm probably doing a little too much detail. I should probably, because I don't think the pose, actually we're gonna flip him real quick. I don't think the pose is really, oops, sorry, the other way. Quite right there. Well, actually it's not bad. It's actually not too bad. Yes, I guess we can start being a little bit more, a bit slower and stuff. Fingers there is gonna be it's gonna be important to try and for the costume. Obviously, you can't have all the fingers paired, so it's at this size way too small. So but you can suggest, you know. As long as you can suggest a little bit something. Kind of bothers me that he looks so sexy. I'm not gonna lie. Not because you know I'm a prude or anything, but just because there is something a little disturbing about the fact that he's clearly a man. Maybe disturbing is not the right word, but it's a bit funny. And that was part of the character. So, but I don't really get this in the out there because I think it's just so. Yeah, he's really. He's very. It's very small. I mean, it's really that. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Just change this color a little bit. Okay. Let's see if I can use this. maybe suggest that you know, the shoulder sort of wrist, because see, part of the lighting is still hitting, and then as the arms uh, recesses back, then it gets darker. So maybe a little getting a little bit of light there helps a little bit. We'll have some fingers here. So in pixel art, I always think that tend to think that if you can't really make the hands or the fingers read, it's better to sacrifice it a little bit and go less and smaller on the hands than too big, because too big looks really bizarre. And so if you can't really, if you don't really have a lot of room, then and it doesn't look quite, then I think it's better to just go very small and let really the viewer's mind sort of filling the blanks a little bit, you know. I'm gonna try and suggest is a bit more. His torso is twisted, so I'm gonna off-center the center, leave more space there than here. Trying to decide if it's worth having the space there. Maybe it is. Lots of things here that tend to confuse things a little bit, so I'm gonna have to just so it's not it's entirely straight, and I think for this sort of stuff it's important because it's really part of this kind of clothing that's It's a little floaty. I think I'll probably end up spending quite a bit of time in this area because it's, yeah, it's getting difficult to read. I have to play a little bit here with the anti-aliasing. Not much choice. I think I should actually put the stocking on because right now this is gonna be. I mean, it's such a part of it that there's no point in trying to paint this and then realize that the stocking really changes everything. So one thing we can do if we're a little bit lazy there is just we can actually let's select all the legs entirely and we'll just copy them over on a different layer. See there. So now what I can do is just what a stocking is really is, it just darkens everything and tends to desat quite a bit, right? So I can do this, and what I can do this can do just for fun. I mean, oh, forgot 1 pixel. Of course I did. Maybe even 2. Okay. So so one thing that you can do is so you do your thing. Let's say if you're really not sure of how you want the stockings, how dark you want them to be or whatnot, what color, and you want to fully use Photoshop, one thing you can do is this. It's a little bit overkill for what we need to do, but I'll just show it anyway just so you guys understand it. So I have the legs on a separate layer, right? So what I can do now is here I can add levels or brightness. I can do brightness, contrast, fine, or even hue, saturation. So here we'll do lightness. So see, this affects everything, so we don't want that, but that's okay because now we can go here, right click and do create clipping mask, and this will affect only the layer that's right underneath. So now I basically have this layer that affects how saturated and dark the stockings would be, right, if they were covering the entire legs. And I can go back and say, in fact, it was too dark, or you know, or too desat or whatever. And then I can put all of this into a group like this. And now by painting here, using a layer, adding a layer mask on that group. So basically the group is the copy of the legs with its associated, you know, hue, saturation, and brightness. All of this in this. And then now what we can do is just basically paint the mask and remove the parts of the stockings that I don't want. And if I leave the underneath the legs, then now I can effectively here just paint back and forth, on, off, and decide exactly where I want the stockings, you know. And if I don't like how the stocking looks, all I have to do is go back in there and edit this layer, and I can go like, I want them really, really black, you know, or even, you know, I want them pink, anything. So that's kind of like a, you know, if you're not sure and you don't want to commit too early to something, then that's one way of doing it, rather than, you know, trying to paint everything and find another, like all the different colors that are, because right now what's good with that is that you're sure that in relationship to each other all the values are still good. You know, the shadow will, everything will move together, and you won't have to worry about, you know, messing up the actual shading or the rendering of this, if that makes sense. So let's try and make it properly now. So now it's a matter of looking at this in terms of like the contrast in brightness, how much darker this is compared to that. I would say probably around there, and we're going to desat, maybe go maybe a little redder. That's maybe not too bad. And now what I have to do is make sure that here I paint properly where it ends or where it stops and where it's, so we still want to convey the curve, you know, the form of the legs. That's why it has to be a little bit curved. I think. Let's see if we can go even something like that probably. Here we're gonna go like that. So that's not too bad. But there is like a clearer, a strong edge there, like a black trim. So you can't go too dark again, because if you go really high contrast, very dark, then it will look very thick, much bigger than it should be. It's fairly thin, you know, outline. So we can try and suggest this, but we can't go too crazy either. That's probably a little too much already. I think maybe this is okay. And so at this point, if we're somewhat happy with that, we can, you know, commit and just flatten everything out. But first I want to add the suspenders, or I don't know how you call this. We'll probably need a little bit of aliasing there, anti-aliasing. This is very hard because this is where usually you need to play a little bit with, you know, maybe take some liberties with the reference there. Maybe we need to change the angle a little bit, or yeah, this is really this is probably the worst you can imagine. And ideally it would be nice to feel like there's a little clip, you know, but with like a really bright pixel, which we might use to yeah, this one's gonna be interesting to try and render. Let's try and yeah, this one's gonna be it's gonna be very, very difficult. Maybe we can do that. Just going to commit now, and everything is in on one layer, because I want to make sure that I can we'll go darker there, because I really want to make sure that we read the front leg. And in fact, I wonder if I should yeah, I think it's better like this. So now it's gonna be quite a bit of a you know painful little things to try and make work. I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's kind of okay, but I think we can do a bit better still on the many I feel like his body seems to be compared and arms a bit too long now compared to the legs, so I'm just gonna have to extend the legs a little bit. No choice. Which is okay as long as, because like I said, I kind of want him to look big compared to like, so there's so it feels more like a man. This suggest a little bit of there's a little bit of an angle there, which is interesting. I think we could try and, would be interesting to try and do this. Feel like the, yeah, maybe this is a bit better. So yeah, okay, so hold on. Let's do so we're going to move the hand out a little bit, because I feel like the arm looks really too long, and that may be a good opportunity to clear out this area a little bit more. Well, like in pixel art, sometimes you're really just you're trying to kill two birds with one stone. You know? Trying to make an area a little more readable in that case might be better, so that the arm doesn't look too, the forearm doesn't look too long. So it's all little adjustments that are good to do. Always annoying, all those bad angles that you can have. It's getting a bit better. I think we need to do this. Calf is too too short, I think. Let's say I just want to double check the size, because it's before you know it, you end up with a character that looks very much too big, you know. But like I said, I don't mind him looking a bit big, because he's we don't want him to look like a woman. But I still think that we can probably go down there a little bit, lose a little bit of torso. It's all really fine adjustments. This is weird, but I'm just looking at size overall proportion. Flip just to see it again. As long as I don't lose, I really don't want to lose the attitude, you know, because that's where it's getting sad, when you realize that, especially in pixel art, it goes really fast, because you change one thing here, one thing there, just a few pixels here and there, and then you realize that you've lost sort of like the, you know, all the expression in the pose and the character, and that's not good when that happens. Not that many pixels there, not much to do what I want with this. I had it at some point, but because I changed so much the arm to get it shorter, then I kind of lost some of that. So it needs to be fixed again. So definitely quite a bit of a, you know, back and forth. I'm not aware that you know, it looks like I don't know what I want to do with it, and it's not entirely untrue. I do a lot of back and forth because they're just things that I'm not sure what's the best, you know. Yeah, no, we need to keep the arms a little bit here. I really don't like this area. I wish I could make this look better. So far, hasn't been very successful. Can spend a can spend a lot of time in this sort of situation where I know there's something that's not quite right, but until I can really put my finger on it, then there's a lot of struggling. But I think it's worth fighting those things a little bit because it's really just a matter of being a little bit patient, you know. But it's getting there slowly, so as long as there's a bit of progress, then since this arm's not right at all. But we'll I think hopefully we'll get it. I hope. Okay, I think this is a bit better. But I think one of the things that I don't like is the fact that he looks. Maybe it's the shoulder that needs to be extended now. Yes, I think that's helping a lot actually. Let me feel it. Just doing this just to see the mass, the overall mass of the torso. See if it feels right. Flip him again. And if some of you guys see something, because sometimes when you're doing things, you're so you're just so into it that you don't really pay attention to some of the things that you should. And sometimes when you have an outside look on things, you're a little less attached to it, then you can see some mistakes. So if there's things that you see that seem obvious to you, that I should do, that I'm not doing right, then I think you should definitely speak out in the chat. We'll try to get just a suggestion of the pearls. Again, can't really get individual pearls, but maybe we can suggest a couple like that. Because it's really part of the character. And we'll deal with the face after the body is complete. So it's it's sort of getting there, I think. See if we can just get a sense of a little highlight there. Sometimes that's all you need, just one little pixel, like very bright, and you get a sense of it sort of does the trick. This is too dark. Make sure that that's tricky there. See if we can go because this looks very thick, compared to that. So let's see if I can is there a way for me to make both look like they were somewhat consistent? Yeah, this is the hardest to do. Very hard to get because too much anti-aliasing, then it looks very fuzzy and and hard to read, and not enough, and it's not right either. So all that stuff definitely tricky. Try my best, but nothing really Nothing that works exactly right. I think this is about as good as it's gonna get. Very hard to do much better than that. Doesn't really follow the legs. That's the part that annoys me. This one. Yeah, I think honestly, I mean, it's that sort of stuff that can last absolutely forever with me. But I think I will consider this as good as I can get it. Wonder maybe I can still go a little darker for the back leg. Let's see, and that's the beauty with Photoshop. You can really see. I think it's worth doing this, honestly. I think it's fine to do that. Makes the front leg read better. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Okay, I completely abandoned the top there. Now I need to try and do something with it. Let's see. This character is a combination of things that are extremely annoying to do in pixel art. You know, all the little threads and very thin, delicate things. They're not pixel friendly. So this, let's try and get a bit of a, like I said, minimum of a shading on this. That's getting there. Well, I'm just gonna be right back. I have a little bit of a headache bothering me, so I'm just gonna take a couple of acetaminophen and I'll be right back. It won't be long. Just give me a second. back. Thank you for hanging around. Yeah, so this is that. So we'll just shade this a little bit. Maybe this side a little bit more in shadow. This will help. Maybe it's a bit too bright. Actually, I could do this. Just trying to unify a little bit the colors that I use. Okay. All right. Here, this panties there, they're already pitch black, so I'm just gonna raise the value just a little bit so they're not entirely black. So that's that. What else? We got this. We got the little god belt. Oh, he's got some the stocking is a little bit ripped, so something we can suggest. A couple of places. Maybe not too much contrast. If I put too much contrast, it'll look very big. See, so that's one of the tricks I was mentioning, is trying to find a value that is that's okay. Maybe it's the sort of stuff that you really don't want to overdo. Probably not even need this. Just, I think this is probably plenty. We'll just do that. And okay, wish that trim would be just a little darker. I think we can do that. It's fine. So it's just small things now. Most of it is done. I'll at some point I'll work on the feet a little bit, but it's I'm gonna try and finish everything, and then we'll go feet at the very end. This bar, okay. That's good. Let's see if we can have a little trim there. Doesn't really matter much, but I guess we could probably do that. It's fine. And here we need to make sure we use the same colors overall. Probably okay. Like that. think that's fine. Let's see. Hair now. So I think the mass of the hair seems about right. I want to go more. Be a bit more on this side. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. And now we can suggest some just a bit of shading. Doesn't need really much there. I think that's probably fine. This is a bit weird. So let's see. Oh. So I'm gonna try to unify to this. So okay, we'll do. Then we'll do the white face. But for now, I just want to make sure that I'm doing a proper yeah, you don't really have much choice but to have a bit of a anti-aliasing, otherwise I think it's better to do that, otherwise it looks like your hair is like a overlaps, his hair overlaps his face, but it's not really the case. Okay, so now what we can do is try and select the entire face. Same thing, I guess we'll I'll just copy it over, just face now, and maybe just go and see if we can make it very much lighter, and we'll desat. And one of the things though that you notice is from a distance is his lips and especially the eyes, because he's got a lot of eyeshadow. They are really dark and blue, so we need to be high contrast there, which may look really bad, but we'll see if there's any way. Take a blue and then we'll go multiply, we'll paint in multiply and darken everything and see if there's any way to suggest the makeup. So it's not too bad. See there, it's more like eyes have been so I guess that's not too bad. We'll see if we can do the same for the mouth, but this time we'll probably use more of a red color. Yeah, he was wearing a very dark red lipstick. Let's see if we can suggest it. Might be tricky, but don't want to overdo it. Hold on. Let's see if we can separate this a little bit. So that because the two of there, when they those two pixels meet, it's really changing the perception that you have. Hold on, this is crazy, but I know. I'm just really push it very far, and then sort of try and walk it back. Let's see. Hold on. Just want to try something first. What happens if we have just one pixel? Yeah, maybe this is more fun actually, because it looks like he's got like a pout or something, you know. So it's a bit more. I think this looks actually a bit more in character. Not that much. Yeah, I think we'll probably do that. So getting I think we're getting fairly close. Ooh. Yeah, so the face is much better now. Plus, it looks like his face is a bit more turned, which is better. Quite happy with that. Let's see. Oops, sorry. Size is alright, I think. Yeah, it's a bit taller than David Lightman. David Lightman is always looked to me like Matthew Broderick was more like a regular, sort of like a not a big guy, so that makes sense. We'll trim 1 pixel. The last ones that I made since I went back into streaming and doing this, they've become a little bit bigger actually. So it's fine if he looks a little bit big compared to those, because I have to go back to this guy, and some of them make them a little bigger anyway. But I think on this line, I think he's all right. He feels alright. See, he's bigger than her. It's more manly. I think it's probably fine. I don't know what you guys think, but I think we'll go with that. Let's have fun with the glitter. See if we can do this. I like the fact that there's a blue, sort of a blue hue to it. So I'm just gonna pick all that stuff and see if I can just get a little bit of a blue coloration to it, bluish purple. So before all gray and after there's a bit of color, and we'll use the glitter anyway to make it look even more. Can go a little lighter too. Yeah, I think something like this. And actually now I'm going to use this as the color for this part because it's really the same outfit, so makes sense. Just a little lighter for that. Try to paint in color mode. Okay. Something really simple. Okay. Just want to do so. Okay, now let's see if we can have this sort of glitter. I think why am I here? It's make sure that Jessica Rabbit's still there. Okay, Jack Torrance still there, or is he? Yeah, okay. And gonna put him right at the end after everyone else. So they're in the right order. I've made them after oh, this is not okay. Yep. And Frank, and I think this is how it's spelled, Frank-N-Furter. Okay, just gonna create another layer on top really quickly because I want to make sure that I don't ruin everything with trying to do this sort of a glittering effect. Put this in screen mode, so we'll add on top, and then I'll pick a little blue and start going over, and I'll paint in screen mode as well here, like this. And so basically what it will do is that every time I will click, this is what I get, and then on top it will add the color a second time around. So add, and then another, and then another, and so doing this I can really sort of start sprinkling things around and have some of them a little brighter. And the key is really to get just a couple that are really bright, like if they really catch the light. And we can't have too many of them either, because otherwise it will look like they like it's a grid or something, you know. And I paint on another layer because then I can make sure I can remove some of them if I think it's too much, or you know. that stuff you have to sort of try, and sometimes if you overdo it, then you can always come back. So without and with, yes, it just gives him a little bit of that fancy, stage. Stage costume. So obviously, I mean, this is Pixar, so they look really big, and it's a bit goofy because it's not. I mean, there's no way you can render that sort of stuff. But as long as it sort of it works in suggesting and that you understand what it is, then I think it's fine. If it looks so weird that you don't even understand what's going on, then yeah, it's probably best to not do it. But I think it's if it's successful enough that you understand the idea, and that as if you understand what it's supposed to be, then I think you can afford to do it. Is it better? Where or without? Not sure. Yeah, I guess we could do that. Oh, and I'm forgetting shoes. So the shoes, how do I can render this? Oh, he's wearing some kind of little ankle bracelet or whatever, so we can have that. Might be a little weird, but so okay, shoes. Let's see if we can suggest that. Shouldn't be too hard. Maybe a little more space there. Oh. Let's see. A second. I think the simpler the better, honestly. Like something like that. So just a little, yeah, I don't know. And finally, but I'm not sure I should do that. We'll see, because I don't know. which is on the left leg, so that means that I would have to flip him. I mean, I guess we could do that, it's fine, it's probably okay. Maybe maybe the knee a little bit more. Damage there. Maybe like this is a bit better. Should I? And what else do we have? Is there anything else? I think we're back. So this is a bit weird because I don't understand that this is the fingers, I think. So I think we should probably be a bit or you know, maybe we'll consider that the what's the best there? Maybe like that. Final little details, really small things. I guess should I have this maybe? Like that. Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point I think this is probably done. Trying to think if there's something we could do a bit better or something fun. I think he's about yeah, I think he's there on the 2-hour mark, so not too long. 2 hours. I think he's yeah, I think he's would probably consider him done. Any other thing? Yeah, well, at least as good as it's gonna be now, I think. Like I said, if you've seen me streaming, you know that I always say that I can never really quite consider something done until I've seen it the next day or the day after, because then I think it's really easier to see all the mistakes that you may have made with fresh eyes. So I at this point I really don't see much that I could really make a lot better. So maybe I'm just gonna wrap it up for now and then look at it tomorrow. And if there's a few things to fix, then I'll fix them offline and post it. And then next time we can let me see though. I think yeah, and then next time I think we can start on some other character. See if there's some other cool character we can think of. Nah, never a big fan of that stuff. But there is definitely something here. So maybe I need just to go a little. Or like this. Maybe since I was mentioning maybe that I could suggest a bit of muscle, maybe. That might be something worth doing. Since he's a guy. This arm maybe looks too big compared to the other one. Something that's not quite right. I will just commit to like a just overall bigger arms. I think it's probably fine to do that. Let's do that for now, and I'll look at it tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll see. I'll probably be able to come up with something there. Okay, so okay, let's call it a day for now, and tomorrow I'll see that with better eyes. Let's put a quick shadow. Just ground the character a little bit. It's too long. There. And yeah, and that's it. I think that was Dr. Frank-N-Furter, a sweet transvestite from Transylvania. Yeah, so thank you guys for being here. I hope you enjoyed this a little bit. Maybe learn a couple of things, or maybe just enjoyed watching this being created, and then and I guess, as they say in the movie, we'll do the time warp again next time. Probably in a couple of days from now. I don't know if I'm gonna stream every day, but it could be. In any case, I will always send the alert and on the Twitch notification, and then tweet about it, and maybe do a little post on Instagram to say that I'm about to stream and go online. So for now, that's gonna be it. Thank you for being here. Stay safe, and we'll see each other soon for another character. Bye. Thanks.